Okay, so what we're going to do now is just look at the story pertaining to Potiphar's wife and Joseph from both the Quran perspective and the Torah perspective. So from the Quran perspective, we are looking at Surah 12, ayat 23 to 29, and I'll read this out. And the lady in whose house he lived tried to seduce him. She locked the doors firmly and said, "Come to me." He replied, "Allah is my refuge. It is not right to betray my master, who has taken good care of me. Indeed, the wrongdoers never succeed." She advanced towards him, and he would have done likewise had he not seen a sign from his Lord. This is how we kept evil and indecency away from him, for he was truly one of our chosen servants. They raced for the door, and she tore his shirt from the back, only to find her husband at the door. She cried, "What is the penalty for someone who tried to violate your wife, except imprisonment or painful punishment?" Joseph responded, "It was she who tried to seduce me, and a witness from her own family testified. If his shirt is torn from the front, then she has told the truth, and he is a liar. But if it is torn from the back, then she has lied, and he is truthful." So when her husband saw that Joseph's shirt was torn from the back, he said to her, "This must be an example of the cunning of you, woman. Indeed, your cunning is so shrewd. O Joseph, forget about this, and you, O wife, seek forgiveness for your sin. It is certainly has been your fault." Okay, so now let's look at the Torah perspective. So we are looking at Genesis 39, verses 11 to 19. Uh, One day he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants were inside. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had run out of the house, she called her husband's servants. "Look," she said to them, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." She kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. Then she told him this story. "That Hebrew slave you brought us came to make sport of me, but as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." When his master heard the story, his wife told him, saying, "This is how your slave treated me." He burned with anger. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. So now that we've read both perspectives, let's just sort of start to look at some of the differences that we've spotted. So if we start off with the Quran, we see that Potiphar's wife locks the door firmly, whereas um, the door wasn't locked because we can see he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. So he can't run out of the house if the door's locked. We also see that he raced to the door and she tore his shirt from the back only to find her husband at the door. So, in the Quran perspective, the husband is there at the door and she is in the room with Joseph. Whereas we can see in Torah perspective, she kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. So, there's a time period where the master is away and then arrives home. We then see that within the room where Potiphar's wife tries to seduce Joseph, there's a witness. And it says here, a witness from her own family testified, if his shirt is torn from the front, then she had told the truth and he is a liar, and so on and so forth. Obviously, it's a bit strange that there's a witness in the room where Potiphar's wife is trying to seduce Joseph. But if we look at from the Torah perspective, we can see that there's no witnesses because it says here, one day he went into the house to attend his duties, and none of the household servants was inside. So Potiphar's wife is waiting for everybody to leave before she tries to seduce him in this incident. And then, oh, I've gone up too far. And then, um, what's key here is that the husband, so Joseph's master, Potiphar's husband, actually blames his wife. He says, "This must be an example of the cunning of you, woman. Indeed, your cunning so shrewd." He actually says to Joseph, "Hey, just forget about this." And he even says to his wife, "Seek forgiveness for your sin. It has certainly been your fault." And this is obviously the complete opposite from the Torah perspective, because the Torah perspective is that when his wife told him what Joseph had done, Joseph, um, the husband, sorry, the master, he burned with anger, and he actually takes Joseph and puts him in prison. So that's completely different from the perspective of the Quran.